Hi there, my name's Bren Vanderswag. I'm the president of Gutter-Experts.com and founder of Gutter-Con, which is being held in just 15 days from now in Denver, Colorado. Leading up to Gutter-Con, I've been doing a series of events where I've been chatting with a variety of people in the gutter world, speakers who will be presenting at Gutter-Con, suppliers, and regular gutter guys and gals, just like you and me. We'll be talking about their business and how they play a role in today's gutter industry. So today I'd like to introduce my guest, Tina Hart. She's a managing partner at Idaho Custom Rain Gutters. They're located in Boise, Idaho, and been in business since 2016. I met Tina on the Gutter Installers Group Facebook page in September of last year. And here we are today. I've been trying to get you on one of these interviews for quite some time, Tina. Why has it taken so long?
Well, I had a vacation somewhere in there. I think when you asked me,
I think you had 3 or 4 vacations by the looks of your Facebook, man.
Work hard, play hard, right?
Yeah, no, I like that for sure. I got nothing against traveling, no doubt about that. So anyone who knows you and follows you, what brought you to Hawaii a couple weeks ago? Was that just a family thing, or?
Yeah, last summer we started it with my kids, my brother and his kids, and we just had a great time. And we don't usually get to go do stuff like that all together.
Yeah.
And so such a great time. And our kids are in a charter school, so they get longer spring breaks.
Okay.
And so it's going to be awesome. We should go on vacation when everybody else isn't, because the one popular week of spring break, is crazy. You can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Well, there's a half weeks, so we went the week after everyone else's spring break, and so it was just great pricing. It was nice to get out of the cold, and we got to take my mom time, and so it was just
nice.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I just got back from Brazil. My wife's from Brazil, and we usually travel down there in the wintertime. And I was able to bring my mother there for the first time this year, which was really exciting. So I've been married almost 10 years, and this was the first time she was able to meet my in-laws. So it was really nice.
A huge deal. Those are things that you can give them and share with them that,
my kids are in their 20s now, and, growing up with them, we hardly, with her mother and I'm divorced. We never traveled, and it was always work, and never had the time, never spent the time. And I can just think back. I wish I would have, but I'm trying to make up for it now for sure.
Yep. Well, I have 4 kids, and my older 2 are 20 and 19, and then I have 2 younger ones, 14 and 7. So I kind of call them like my couples,
Yeah.
My older 2, same thing. I still feel bad. Like we didn't, I think our one big vacation was like the San Diego's everything, which was, did I just cut out?
Yeah, you did. You're
okay,
back.
let me put this on Do Not Disturb. Sorry, 1 second. Stand by.
Yeah, you can't be taking calls from gutter customers while you're on this interview.
Say, like, I'll probably get a million calls, so we'll just take care of that. Okay, sorry about that. So yes, my older 2, I feel like our big vacation was a one-time trip to San Diego. We did, the traditional SeaWorld zoo, and then we never really did anything else, because it was really, you spend a lot of time in your life, especially when you're young, you're kind of establishing yourself and you're trying to figure out the balance of life. And, one of the biggest blessings I feel like of being in business on your own is having the flexibility to actually,
totally.
I forget what the restrictions of what it's like for a lot of people of like, I can't only have 2 days PTO or that. And we don't run our business like that for our employees either.
Yeah. Well, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that is something that's important too. Like, I was just actually speaking with my wife today, who works with a big company, and they talk about, being flexible with their employees. You know, they're talking about going back to the office, but they don't want to push their people too much because, you know, let's face it, there's lots of jobs out there and they could just go somewhere else. If you push them and say, oh, you got to come to the office every day now, 40 hours a week, and we expect this and that. I mean, it's not like that anymore.
Yeah, so true.
Yeah. Well, listen, Tina, I know you just said that you guys just started in 2016. What were you doing before that?
You know, right before we started this, I was actually working at a water damage and mold remediation company.
Oh, I did that for 10 years too.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that funny? But it was interesting because to me, I would see these families and people I would hear about that had mold all over their house and they wouldn't even pay or go through insurance to take care of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was kind of a networker of that company. So I would go out and build relationships with people that would be highly likely to refer to us.
Okay.
So remodelers, home inspectors, like anyone in that field that would see a lot of water damage, I would take a network with them, go drop by, visit them, take them to lunch, coffee, really just kind of getting to know people and build relationships. They felt comfortable that I would take good care of their customers.
Right. Okay. So how did you go from that to the gutter business?
Well, so Scott and I met just kind of right before that, and he had an idea of starting a gutter company, and he was a remodeler and home inspector. So he kind of had his own separate businesses up and going, and he was always referring out gutter work. And a lot of people, those companies either just didn't call, they didn't show up, it wasn't a good quality of work. And so he told me, I'm thinking about starting a gutter company. And I was like, that's not a very good idea. I said, I don't know if I would, because a lot of people I see now don't even take care of mold in their house. So I don't think they would take care of gutters, which are on the outside and so I was really actually not on the same team at the time. And he said, oh, well, I'm doing it anyway. I think it's a great idea. There's a market for it. But my passion is in like marketing, branding, and really getting out there. So as he was kind of starting it, I was like, okay, I want to be a part of this, so I started designing the logo and the website and figuring out how we were going to market. And so a lot of the companies I had been involved in before this was like a weird variety of businesses, but I really look back at it and I see how the big variety helped me in so many different little ways to know just enough about all the different areas of business to know how we should start, what was important. Yeah. And so it was funny because it's not like I really came from, a lot of specific background that would help, launch it as fast as we went, but it just was like I knew just enough, a little bit about everything to kind of
make it happen.
Yeah.
Nice. So you guys got into the business and you started, I'm assuming, like everyone, with 5-inch gutter, or did I guess?
Yeah, so it is very standard here for the most part in our area, 5-inch. Like I always find it gutter groups how a lot of places are only 6-inch.
Yeah, I know. We're mostly 5-inch too. Just really? So that you know, I mean, 6-inch is becoming more popular, but not on residential. I would say for us, the only reason a residential customer would have 6-inch is if they had a really big fascia board and they needed to, hide some of that. Or if they have, what we're finding now is with metal roofs, with the overhang, they need that extra, width in their gutters. Yep. But we're the same. It's mostly 5-inch gutter here.
Yeah. So we started, if I remember correctly, it was just a 5-inch machine. And that was really all anybody knew here. If you had probably tried to tell people 6-inch gutter, 6 years ago when we started, they would be like, what are you talking about? People were like, it looks so bulky and big and, but it's still kind of a push. I would say we don't do a lot of 6-inch on residential as much as we try to push it, and obviously their roof needs it, it's metal or real high pitch, then we definitely will recommend that. Yeah. But for standard homes, they're just not there yet. But we're definitely trying to lean that way.
Yeah, I mean, I guess one thing we've thought about doing is just raising the price to 5-inch so high that it just makes sense to go to 6-inch.
Yeah.
So do you have a big price difference between 5 and 6?
Ours is like a couple dollars a foot difference. We do from 5 to 6. So it's not even a huge
Yeah.
difference. I feel like people here for what we're always just a little bit behind the trend here.
Yeah, we are too out here on the East Coast too. I find everything starts out west and moves their way. 20 years later, we finally get it, right?
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, the other thing we've thought about doing too is just having a line item on every estimate and just says upgrade to 6-inch. And if it's 100 feet of gutter and it's $2 more, they can see, oh, it's only $2 more.
Yes. And the
Yeah.
other thing I thought about implementing is when we do the sales approach is having really packages that are like silver, gold,
Yeah,
and
yeah, good, better, best. Yeah.
inch, gold is 6-inch and, platinum is gutter and cover or whatever, so that's something, I just don't think we talk about it enough either because we know that customers lean towards that. So I think it's definitely like a growth opportunity for us to promote, educate customers more about it.
Yeah. So you got started with 5-inch. You did end up getting what, a 6-inch machine or combo machine?
We have a couple of combos. So we have a box machine as well. That's a 5/6 combo that we started last year.
Oh yeah.
And
What style? What style of box cutter?
The European flat face.
Oh yeah. Okay. And does it have any grooves in the bottom? What do you call those?
Ours has one little groove, I believe, kind of down the middle.
Yeah. Okay. Just for some rigidity. So I have a 6-inch Euro box gutter machine, but it's completely flat on the front and completely flat on the bottom also.
Oh,
And
okay.
I think I know your machine. I've seen it before. Mine is not a combo, so it'd be nice to have a combo, I think, though.
Yeah, I almost wish we would have went bigger because a 5-inch box is very skinny.
Yeah.
It just looks so much different. So to me, we pretty much just don't offer 5-inch box. It's like
Just
6.
stick to the 6. Yeah.
Don't go any smaller. Like with box, the profile makes it just look so small.
Yeah. So anything else that you guys are offering other than the 5 and 6-inch K style and box cutter?
That's pretty much it. We just kind of stick to our wheelhouse. We haven't done any other profiles, but we did do a copper job recently on a pretty big church, and we were able to use that 5-inch box. So that was a lot of fun.
Okay. Yeah. You don't have a half round machine?
We don't. There is someone in town that offers chop drop for that.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah. But we don't really ever even get a lot of inquiries about it. People just here aren't, and if you drive a couple hours out to like McCall, Sun Valley, cities like that, that's kind of where you'll find that higher clientele that's really looking for even just copper or half round or any of that.
Okay. So Boise, I know you told me how to am I pronouncing it right? Boise?
Boise. Yeah.
Boise.
I think
with an S, not a Z.
You,
So listen, you guys are like the potato capital of the world, right? That's the guy that's running around all over the streets of Idaho looking for his big potato, right?
that's what they say.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just making sure. I didn't realize how far west you guys were. Like, you guys are like right above Nevada.
Oh yeah, we're far.
Yeah. Yeah, you're way over there. Okay. And I already asked you this and you said you didn't know, but I know you did a little bit of research before our call. How many people in Boise, Idaho?
So there's about 225,000.
Oh, that's a nice little city.
Yeah, we're growing like crazy. And we don't service very far out from Boise. We'll do a couple nearby cities, Eagle, Meridian, but we don't really travel very far, which is kind of funny. A lot of the guys and people that I network with in the gutter groups will talk about, well, how far do you drive for this and that? And I'm like, we don't really go further than like 30 minutes.
Oh, really?
They're
That's
like,
nice.
Yeah, pretty
Price of
fortunate.
gas these days, that's pretty good, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, we're pretty lucky that way. We just don't take a lot of business outside of that because there's so much to service just right here, so.
Yeah. Well, if you're keeping busy at home, why would you go anywhere else, right?
Yeah, I mean, if it pays right, I'll go.
Yeah. So how many crews are you running right now?
We have 5 crews and a service crew that will vary between 1 or 2 guys, depending on if, our busy season, but a lot of times it can run off of just 1 guy for the service crew.
Nice, nice. So, so when you and I started chatting, you were looking at bringing on a CRM. So let me ask you, before you brought on your CRM, what were you doing? Like, how are you running your business? Because with 5 trucks, I mean, that's a lot of work.
Yes, I would say, honestly, I always am a little blown away because I think we do about 45 to 50 jobs a week.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a lot of information.
It's a lot of information to keep track of.
Yeah, so we're pretty fortunate in the sense that from day one, literally, we used a CRM. So we didn't ever use a notebook. We didn't do the whole Google Calendar thing, which I'm not opposed to it. But just from the experience I had at other companies, I knew how important it would be to have that. So we started with something that nobody usually has ever heard of, and it's called BreezeWorks. And yeah, it's fairly affordable. And honestly, it did its job for us. I think at about crew number 3, we should have left. But everybody who's ever experienced this, once you're invested in something and you have all the information in it, it feels like
it's hard to change.
The hardest thing to do is to leave. But we finally just knew, like, okay, this just isn't working anymore. It had a lot of great things to it, to be honest. You could see on the map where everybody was, little pins. You could see, you could have automations, like emails to blast out your list. It had a great calendar. You could have an app. It really wasn't bad. Even though people didn't hear about it or have heard about it and it's not highly marketed, it really wasn't a bad system. But I think something with their servers or something just seemed off, because the bigger we grew and we got over 5,000 customers on our list, all of a sudden you'd go to search for somebody and it'd take like 10 minutes like to find who you're looking for, and so this is ridiculous. And then it would just go offline and like lose information. And so then I literally think I watched like 50 demos for different CRMs, and then that's how, then you and I talked about that. And
so who did you pick?
So we went with Jobber as of January of this year.
And tell me how that experience, how was the switch over? Let me ask you first, I know you've got a pretty good sized office staff, don't you? Administrative team.
Yeah, so there's myself, and then I have 3 other gals, 2 full-time and 1 part-time that help in the office as well.
Yeah. It's so important to have the right office staff, isn't it? It's almost over half the battle, I think.
Oh, 100%.
Especially if you're growing.
Yes, and I think I heard you say this on one of the interviews recently. Hire the people that you're going to need before you need them. Like 100%. I mean, it's crucial. So many people I talk to are like drowning.
Trying to catch up, doing like something they should have done 2 months ago. I know if I could just go back to 20 years old, holy crap. I wouldn't even be working anymore. I'd just be retired and done.
It's vacationing everywhere.
Man.
Yes.
Hindsight's 2020. Okay, so you got 3 people helping you in the office, which is absolutely key. How many installs people do you have?
So we have a total of 17 employees, and I would say about 11 to 12 of those on any given day are going to be out in the field. And then we have Jake, who's running our estimates right now. And then I kind of help manage all of our builder accounts. And then Scott's kind of remaining role is just kind of making sure we keep the builders happy. So he'll go out and walk jobs, talk about placements. But as far as when they're ready to say, hey, I've got this ready, I got that ready, when are you coming? Like all that kind of filters through me. And then our apartment projects all kind of go through me. But if any on-site from new construction or commercial side, that's kind of what Scott will assess. And then Jake does all of our, some builders that he's brought in so far, and then a lot of our retail side.
Okay, cool. So just to get back to your CRM, so how hard was it to do the switch over back in January? I mean, that's a good time to do the switch.
It was 10 times easier than I anticipated.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And, we figured, okay, let's do it at the end of the year because, I think like everybody, we're slammed like September till like January.
Yeah.
And then it dies off for a couple months. So for us, we're like,
unless
okay,
you're in Florida.
Yeah, that's true. And so for us, I was like, that'll give us January, February as we kind of slow down a little bit to like kind of into it and get used to it. And at least if we make some errors, it's not like, a ton. It's just going to be a little bit. So it was way easier than I thought, but I can't take credit for all of it because Amy, who's kind of our part-time operations support, literally was so key in implementing that. Like she would just go in there and learn and train and figure out, okay, how does this work and how does that work? And we would kind of brainstorm together like how that would affect certain things. And so that was awesome to have somebody else help implement something like that because it is a lot. I mean, even just creating every service product you have, the verbiages and the disclosures. And we also use ArcSite for our estimates. So then figuring out how to incorporate that with Jobber.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Did you, ArcSite's coming to Gutter-Con, and I didn't really know much about ArcSite actually until I did the interview with them. It was pretty cool.
What? Awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're coming, and I haven't done it yet. I'm going to wait till after Gutter-Con, of course, but I think I'm going to start implementing that in our business.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
We implement it until Jake came on, and Jake just took it by the horns and took the lead on it, and he got it so figured out. He's so fast on it.
Nice.
And it's so professional.
That was the next thing I was going to say. It's so professional looking. Like I said to Justin, who with ArcSite, I said to him, I'm still, after, being in this business since 1998, still doing, oh, you can't see it. Why is my thing doing this? What's going on? Well, I call it my map, and it's just a big notebook. And of course I draw it out like I'm looking down, and well, it's just like ArcSite, but it's all pen and paper. So, and I just take a picture of that, and that works for us. But it's not really very professional, especially if you're in a rush or your hands are dirty and whatever.
Yeah.
So do you use iPads?
Yeah. So Jake uses an iPad to do all of his ArcSite. He takes pictures as he goes, trouble areas or things to pinpoint. And then we just bought January our first iPad for a crew. And so they'll start kind of trying to roll that out. And then the goal is that they're closing out and collecting the payment, on site, either with card or something right then as well. So that's kind of our next phase of Jobber, is because right now we just kind of tell the, if the customer wants to pay them, great, but we don't have it ready to like pay card with the or anything like that yet. I mean, we could, but we're just like right on the verge of implementing that.
Yeah. So on that note, I mean, I've never really talked to other people about this, but I mean, do you run a lot of receivables is that part of the reason why you're talking about doing that? Do you have a problem with that?
We don't have an issue with it, honestly. And it's kind of cool because one of the things we were missing BreezeWorks that we used to use is there was no automation or follow-up with invoices. It was kind of done in the software, and it was up to us from there to collect. And I know a lot of software programs do this now, but Jobber has immensely helped us, just like I know House Call Pro, I think, does this as well, probably the same program you're using. But after like 3 days, 7, 10, it'll send out a reminder, hey, your invoice is past due. And it's such a huge change this year of like, we just never have homeowners that have an open invoice, hardly ever. And with our builders, of course, you always have that, 30 or 60 days, but we've never really had an issue. Like at the end of every year, there's always like 3 to 5 people that we just can't collect on, but they're usually small tickets, and we try, and then we just kind of let it go. But
go back, send them back with a little drill and put a couple holes right above the door.
Yeah, let it leak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're pretty happy with Jobber then?
Yeah, I love it. There was a couple things as we were implementing that I'd be like, oh, I wish it did this, or I didn't know it did that, but I can't even remember what they are. So they weren't crucial per se, but just things that I wanted to have. And I think that was my biggest delay of switching, is I felt like I wanted to have a program that had absolutely everything before it changed. And I just feel like there's so many systems out there, and one will be super area and then weak in another area. And so we just kind of finally jumped for it, and I'm really glad we did, though. No complaints here.
Oh, good. So what's in the horizon for Idaho Custom Gutters? What's going on?
Well, last summer we bought a parcel of land. It's just about an acre and a half. And our goal was to build, so the long-term goal was to build 2 buildings on that land. So the front one would be mostly designated for us to run our business out of. It would be like a 10,000 square foot building. We'd occupy 6 of that and then lease a couple spaces. And then in a few years, build another building about the same in the back. And then our goal would be to eventually occupy an entire building as we grow, and then lease the entire one out. And so we're currently in permitting right now. It should be coming out anytime.
Yeah.
Kind of talking to contractors and trying to figure out, at this point with the rising costs of building, do we,
That's a big ticket item, isn't it?
Oh, it's huge. But I mean, there's just so much opportunity that can come from that. And we've really just outgrown the space that we're in, for sure. Stock all of our material mostly now. So we've just got to have more space.
Yeah. And, rent, I mean, I've always rented, and I'm too old to build now anyway, but I don't know. I guess if I would have thought about it 20, 30 years ago, the building would be paid for. So I guess if you're young enough and you can do it, is that a hard thing to do? Maybe talk a little bit about that. Is that a hard thing to do to build a building? Like, I know for me, building a building for business, that would be a tough thing to finance, I think, here.
I think because of our steady growth, and from the very beginning, I was very adamant that we do really everything by the book. So it was clean books that showed growth. And I know, I understand the advantages and disadvantages of doing that. And I know a lot of people that will write off everything and show they took a loss and they don't want to pay taxes. And I totally validate and get that. But we knew what our long-term goal was in this, was to grow. And so we knew that would require to have clean books and showing growth. And so we've always hired an outside third party to manage our books, so that we always had very clean financials. We know where we're at, our profits. And so it wasn't, I feel like these are little things that I feel like gave us a step ahead. A lot of times when companies start, there's so much of that you're like, oh, I didn't know I needed this, and how do I file that? And like, I don't have, a profit and loss, and I totally get that. And I had seen so many customers when I used to work in banking that couldn't get loans because they didn't show they were making any money. And so I just was like, I know this isn't going to be good if this is what we want.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I totally agree with you, but I don't operate like you do. I wish I did. And I think a lot of gutter guys, don't like, the gutter business is great for cash work. I mean, it obviously is, but I could do a couple $100,000 a year in cash. What the hell do I do with a couple $100,000 in cash?
Yeah.
Like, you can only drink so many beers or bottles of wine, or, you just, what do you do
Yeah.
with it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm glad you brought that up, because that is something about being running a professional business. So when you said you use an outside company, does that mean that you guys don't do any of your own accounting in-house?
So we do a lot of, well, it's kind of tricky. So like we pay our own bills here, like all the bills come through us and we pay those. Our payroll, we do that here as far as like we have
Getting the hours?
commission. And
Yeah.
so that's a lot of hands-on for us here, calculating and making sure. And there's just like a lot of detail that goes into that I would never probably feel comfortable like just giving that to someone that doesn't understand how our business works.
Yeah.
Our operations support really helps me with that. Her and I kind of work together to make sure that our guys are taken care of, all the time. And so for us, we have kind of a process of a spreadsheet that we create that's shared on the drive, and her and I can see it live all the time and submit all the payroll information. And then once we have everyone's final numbers that are commission rate, then we send that to payroll and they hit the button. So it just kind of takes the error of some of those things out of your hands. Like if I'm out of town or Amy is, it's not like someone can't push the button for payroll,
Right. Yeah.
So and then I'm involved in a ton of that. Like our accountant and bookkeeper will call me and they'll send me a whole list. Here's these transactions that I didn't know where they belonged. What are they? And then I'll say that this is for that, this is for that. And then we'll kind of categorize it together. And then every month we kind of go over like where we're at. What are we seeing? What's changing? What's working? Do we need to increase prices? And so we just always kind of have the information in front of us of how we're performing and where are we at. So it's not like
Were you always like that, or did you get to a certain point you were like, oh shit, we got to do that?
To some level, we've always, I would say almost always have had someone involved, but not to the level we do now. So like I was first year, we didn't really have anyone, just an accountant, but if I had a question, I could call him and say, what do I do here? Or how do I process this? And then like year 2 is when it became like crucial to me. I also wasn't a partner at that time. So it was really important to make sure that because so much was in my responsibility and I was, taking care of so much, that I wanted to make sure that, Scott felt comfortable with everything that I was doing, while he was busy and not managing the operational side of the business. So I think for any business owner, I think it's really important, even if you trust that person with everything that you have, to have a third party involved. It just helps kind of ease any concerns or worries. And it's just, there's so many things that I thought I knew that I didn't know, that she's really helped me like clarify and understand where we should be spending things and how we, reminding you to save and not just go on vacation. And, she's all about profit. And so making sure you have money for taxes. And I think that's a huge deal. Like if I hadn't known like, hey, you need to save this amount, every quarter. I mean, those big tax bills, the more you grow can be, they can make or break your business. So
yeah. If you're not paying the tax man, you're not making any money. Like if you're not writing those checks, you got to be like, okay, why am I people think, oh, I'm not going to pay tax. That's great. But you got to be paying tax, because if you're not paying tax, something's wrong.
Yeah. And I would say I think it was our second or third year, I was anticipating, a certain amount of growth that we kind of had been seeing throughout the year. But as everyone in the gutter industry knows that I didn't really know yet then, was how crazy it can get from September to the end of the year. And I was so slammed because, for years it was literally just me. I answered the phone. I scheduled all the jobs. Scott did all the estimates, and everything behind the scenes other than installing was all me for up until probably 3 crews. So we had like 6, 7 employees, and I would just work crazy late hours, get up early, but I was just obsessive about it. Like I was so passionate about what we were doing, but I had no idea how much we had grown in that quarter. And come the end of the year, I'm like, oh my gosh,
wow,
where'd all this money come from? And then it was,
that's a good problem to have.
I wish we would have bought a elbow machine before the end of the year. I wish we would have bought this or a gutter machine or another rig or, but it goes so fast that, come January, we're like, oh shoot, I wish we would have bought something right off.
Yeah. Well, it's good. And, it's like you said, it's good to have someone behind you saying, oh, you should be planning this, doing that, right?
So it was a huge learning. Then it's like we knew, okay, every year we're going to be on scale to add a crew. We're going to buy another vehicle. We're going to get it wrapped. We're going to do this. So again, I'm a big believer in buying before you need it. So we would have a rig ready and
they're ready to go.
And someone would show up at the door. Hey, I'm looking for a job. They were experienced and we could just get them rolling.
I don't know many companies that are like that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think you've been doing it right. So listen, time is ticking away here. It's like 9:15 in the evening.
Oh,
it's time for bed for me. Jeez.
Uh-oh.
I almost got my bottle of wine done. So listen, are you actually coming to Gutter-Con or what?
I'm going to be there.
Okay, because I haven't seen any paperwork come through yet. So
I know I'm a little bit of a procrastinator, but you wouldn't know it. That's what matters.
Yeah, that's right. As long as you're there. Now, what happened today, and I just want to talk, the last few interviews I've done, I have to do a little bit of self-promotion here for Gutter-Con. So one of the things that sounds like you're kind of excited about is our Skybox at the final home game for the Avalanche and Predators.
It sounds like
the Colorado Avalanche. I'm not a big hockey fan, but Colorado Avalanche and the Nashville Predators final home game. I have a Skybox, and you got some people. You've got a crew of people that want to come.
Yeah.
Awesome. And you know what about are you a hockey fan?
I'm not, but I like to experience new things. I've been to a couple hockey games here, and I always have time.
I don't even care what's playing. Skybox that's what I want to do. So Nathan McKinnon is the cap. I don't know if he's the captain. I think he's the captain of the Colorado Avalanche. He's like their star player. He's from my hometown.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you know that before this, or did you find this out?
Yeah, I've known who Nathan McKinnon is for years. Like he grew up in our hometown. And same as Sidney Crosby actually. Do you know Sidney Crosby?
I don't know anybody.
Oh, well, okay. He's from our hometown too. He's like the biggest hockey guy in all of the world, I think.
Jeez, that's cool.
Exactly. The other thing we're doing too, have you heard about this? On Saturday night, we have concert tickets for Red Rock for Sublime.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know this.
Now you know it. So there you go.
For that.
Party bus, of course.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. Yes.
Or how does that work?
Well, I haven't got it 100% organized, but I have the bus organized. So it's a party bus, and I'm pretty sure I have 24 tickets for the concert. So we're going to probably make that announcement first of the week.
Awesome.
So that's going to be Saturday night. So Thursday night is the hockey, and I do have some tickets left. So if anyone is interested and really wants to come, make sure you get a hold of me. And then also the Sublime, we're going to be making announcements for all this stuff next week, but Sublime Saturday night.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I think the party bus is going to be the most fun thing getting out there.
That is going to be fun. I was going to ask you now, the hockey game does not interfere with the meet and greet, does it?
Well, it does a little bit. It does overlap a little bit. So I think what we're going to do is make the meet and greet a little bit later. We had it kind of planned for 6 to 9. The hockey game is 7 till probably 9. Of course, we don't know how long the hockey game will go. So I think what we're going to do, I was actually just chatting with Frank about this tonight. I think I'm going to move the meet and greet to 8 so that it'll just run a little bit later. I think 6 is a little bit early, don't you think?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. So I think that's going to make it better for both events.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm super excited. I'm definitely talking to a lot of the people I network with in the group, saying like, if I haven't like noticed they've posted that they're coming, I'm like, are you coming? Like,
Yeah.
you better. I hope.
Look, I'm so excited about it, and there's such a great bunch of people coming. I think that's the big thing. I think everyone's going to learn a little bit. I know I'm anxious to learn from it. I've learned stuff, just talking to you tonight. So I really appreciate your time.
Oh no, I'm so glad I finally got to get on here and chat with you. I'm excited. I think what you've been able to implement with the conference is awesome. I know when you and I on the phone, I was like, I've been wanting to do one of these.
Yeah. In fact, that's how we really met, because you put a post. You were getting a group together to meet down in Florida, and I was like, oh no, she's going to ruin this for me.
Don't want to do that. Now I'm just jumping on the wagon.
Yeah, well, that's no problem. But I have heard from other people too that I think Denver's going to be a great time, but and we're going to, at the end of the event, we're going to take kind of like a little poll and say, okay, would you come to another event? And if you do want to come to another event, where would you like the next one to be? So, maybe everyone can kind of maybe get involved and pick where the next event could be.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Well, get all the work you put into putting this together to bring all of us together. I can't even imagine what it took to put this on. So
it's a lot of work, but I'll tell you, so happy doing these interviews. That's what keeps me going. I've been saying that the last few interviews, it's been great. So I really appreciate that, and can't wait to meet you and have a drink with you.
Yes.
It's almost done there. So. Okay, well, look, thanks so much for taking the time to meet with me. And I think this is probably our longest interview so far. And I'm anxious to see how many hits you get. So far, the interview that had the most hits was
Tim, probably, huh?
Who?
Tim?
Yeah, Tim Crouch.
Who doesn't love Tim? I mean, he proper king.
Yeah, he is the king. And I still haven't, I don't think he's coming. I don't think he's going to have the time, but I've been pushing him to come. I was like, man, you got to come.
Messaged him today and I was like, are you going? And he was like, I can't make it. He's bummed though. I think he wanted to be there. So
yeah. Okay, good. So we'll see you in 2 weeks. And thanks a lot for doing this, Tina. Really appreciate it.
Have a good night.
Yeah, you too.